alongside Michael Lombardi, Stormy Buonantony
What are we going to
here.
talk about now that Rodgers made a decision? Like now it's like, what do we talk about?
Well, we're going to talk about how he made the decision, how he verbalized the decision, because he's coming for people, Michael.
He went over I just tweeted out, Mr. Murphy, like, to me, he went after him, which I can understand it. Like, what people don't know about the league, the behind the scenes. So the Packers have always historically been a team that has been separate from the administration and the coaching and personnel. So when Ron Wolf went there, they basically said, Ron, you run the team and you hire the coach and you have all the authority to run football. And then when Mike Sherman took over, they kind of let Sherman do both, and that didn't work. And then they went back to the dynamic. Ted Thompson came in, he hired Mike McCarthy. And then when Murph replaced Bob Harlan, he took all the power. He said, okay, I'm the man. Everybody reports to me, which has never been. And you have to go back to when before Lombardi joined the Packers in 1959. You have to go back that far to ever have a Packer president with that much authority. And he did it. And I could just sense from Rodgers listening to the clips of how much he resented the authority that Murphy kind of bestowed upon him and how he changed the dynamics of the organization.
And, he said the Packers would like to move on. They let me know that in so many words. They've let others know that in more direct words. He did give a lot of compliments, though, to Jordan Love, said he's a great kid. He's going to do great things moving forward. And that is kind of the next evolution of this conversation, because so much of our talk has been put into, okay, Aaron Rodgers, if he goes here, what's the compensation going to be like, and what's his impact going to be with the Jets? And we saw their odds shorten as much as they have over the last week or so. Packers are very much so looked at as a bottom of the barrel team, it appears on the surface. But I think that Jordan Love, this is finally his opportunity, and he is somebody that really, really wants to have success in Green Bay.
Yeah, everybody focuses on Jordan Love. I'm going to focus on Matt LaFleur.
Okay.
Because it's now Matt LaFleur. The training wheels are off.
Yeah, now he can actually run the team the way he wants to, because he doesn't have...
We'll see if he's actually a true good head coach. I mean, we'll find out about Matt LaFleur, besides getting, as my cousin Big Daddy Vince, cheering the crowd to turn them on. That's all. He's a huge Packer fan, and he does that. So we're going to find out. How good of a coach is. I know every time we see the graphic, Matt LaFleur, he's won this 13 games. We're going to find out. I mean, this is a guy that when he was running the Tennessee offense without Aaron Rodgers was in the bottom third of the league. I mean, they were 25th. They were one of the worst teams on third down. We're going to find out how good he is as a coach. I think that, to me, is going to be the interesting thing for the Packers, is can they? Now, obviously, they've got some really good young players. They're going to get some draft picks. Their defense has always been suspect. Like last year, the defense, I mean, let's face it. I mean, the final game of the year, Detroit, everybody thought Joe Barry would lose his job. He didn't. They kept him on. I'm going to be really anxious to see, when you remove this player who's really good and you put Love in, you're going to have to change everything you do. You cannot run the Aaron Rodgers offense. So does LaFleur go back to his background, which is the Rams offense, which is more bootlegs and nakeds? Because remember, Rodgers didn't want to turn his back to the formation. He wanted to the defense. He wanted to be able to see everything that was coming at him. So I think this is really, the onus isn't as much on Love as it's on the floor.
Do you have a gut feeling one way or the other about how he is? I have a strong gut feeling.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. I don't see LaFleur as a leader. I don't see him as a head coach. I see him as a guy who managed the situation. And I think we saw the Rodgers thing fester and become even bigger. And I don't see him being able to look. The special teams has not been very good for them. Although, when they finally got the kid, when they got the returner Nixon in there, they were able to make some progress in terms of the return team. They were terrible in that area. But I don't see this as a team that's what I call aligned. Okay, offense plays to defense, plays to kicking game. I've always felt like LaFleur called plays. The defense was kind of out there on their own, and the special teams really didn't matter. I think it's going to be a challenge to see if he can kind of get all three things working together.
As far as the division goes, we mentioned it a little bit in hour one, but the Lions are the favorite in the NFC North now, which is just so bizarre to even say out loud. Plus 135, the Lions, followed by the Bears and Vikings, who are both sitting there 3-1, and then the Packers at plus 450. So it's not like there's a huge separation. It's not like there's like the Washington Commanders, for example, in their division, who are like sitting there at 10-1, where there's that significant drop off. Like there is still potential for parity in this division in a big way.
But here's the issue, though. One of the things you don't want to be in football, in any sport, is too young or too old. You want to kind of have a blend.
Middle ground.
You want to have a middle ground. You want to have veterans, but you want to have some young players coming along. This team offensively is going to be a little too young. Even though Dobbs and Watson are good players and they're going to come along, the quarterback doesn't have a lot of experience. Aaron Jones gives them, along with A.J. Dillon, gives them some veteran leadership. But to me, they don't have a tight end. Both Tanyan and Lewis are free agents. I'm sure Lewis will probably follow to the Jets. But for me, I get the sense they're a little too young. They're going to have to play a certain way to help their offense. Will LaFleur do that? Will they be able to play that way? Or will he think, okay, we're just going to run what we run, like he did last year? We lose Davante Adams, and so we're going to continue to run the offense we ran without Davante Adams, and all of a sudden it's not the same offense.
You mentioned this in the break, and this is my first time actually seeing it, the Adam Schefter tweet confirming Aaron Rodgers' report. A text from Aaron Rodgers to Schefter. It says, "Lose my number. Good try, though."
Well, I mean, look, obviously, one thing we know about Aaron Rodgers, he is reading everything. And he is reacting to everything. I mean, whatever cave he lives in Green Bay, it's got internet service. It's got Wi-Fi. He's got Wi-Fi in that cave up there because he's reading all of it. Like most people would not even pay attention to it, especially of his stature.
No wonder he needed to go on that retreat, though, right? Like no wonder he needed to go in the hobbit hole and disconnect from everything and be in a dark room for a second. Because if all he's doing all day long is watching ESPN or scrolling on his phone on Twitter and like has those fake accounts where you're searching other things, like that's a little bit weird to me, but he needed that. I think
if you went on a darkness retreat, would you admit you went on it? I don't think I would. I would just like not tell anybody. Like, okay, I don't think anybody needs to know that much about you.
I don't think I would ever do that, though, and that just shows he's a different breed of human.
Look, I mean, nobody wants to go through the Andy Dufresne treatment of being in the cave for 30 days. And,
if I did that, it'd be because I lost a bet or something, right? I got to be locked up.
That would be a horrible bet to lose.
That'd be a terrible bet to lose, but a bet nonetheless. But don't give Matt Brown any ideas for our bets and consequences thing that we do.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah, he's just an interesting guy. The way that all of this has unfolded is way too drawn out, but like he said today, it's not on him. It's a compensation side of things. So how long do you think until that information comes down, that we actually have cemented
So everything was
details?
Targeted today. So this was basically this puts the heat back on Green Bay to make a deal. So so what he just did today was basically vol back. So Gutekunst and Mr. Murphy, they're going to have to make a deal today with the Jets. And Douglas is in a pretty good position because, he's saying, this is what we're going to pay. Well, there's no returning to the Green Bay. That bridge has been blown up. So, like, either you take it or you don't. That's why, to me, you never, as a general manager, you never let the guy talk to another team without understanding what the compensation is. Like, you're not talking to my player unless you understand this is what it's going to cost. Do you agree? We'll exchange an email. Now you have permission. Like, to me, it made no sense to do this. Especially, like, okay, if you want to talk to him, go ahead. But here's what it is. Do we agree? We can negotiate. But to me, now, all of a sudden, the Jets have more leverage.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.